Bloomberg on the Economy with Mike McKee and Carol Massar. Listen on demand via our Bloomberg Radio Plus app. Now available free for both iPhone and Android devices.
Studio. So, folks, check your calendar because, March Madness is just around the corner. In fact, it begins Tuesday, March 19th and ends Monday, April 8th, and things get a little crazy. That's for sure. But there's also a lot of money and a lot of things involved in addition to it being a great challenge, if you will, in the sports community. Here to talk, though, all things March Madness is Ben Sutton. He's president of IMG College, and he joins us from North Carolina on the phone this morning. Ben, good morning.
Good morning, Carol. How are you?
I'm okay. So you're getting ready for March Madness, no doubt, right?
Absolutely. It started in earnest last weekend and then goes for another 3 or 4 weeks, and it's just a great time of the year.
Talk to me about, we all kind of get caught up in watching, as the games play on, but there's a lot of money at stake and a lot of money involved in this series.
Well, there is, and, the March Madness actually, I think, as of this year, became the most lucrative event in all of sports. Ad revenue this year around the NCAA men's basketball tournament looks like it will go over the $1 billion mark, and that makes it even bigger than the NFL playoffs. So it's a fairly large money proposition. And the great thing is this money is the primary funding source for the NCAA, and they, of course, distribute this money amongst all their member institutions, and it's really the biggest source of income for scholarships on campuses in the United States. So it's a big proposition.
How much of that money ends up in the hands of students in the form of scholarships? Do we have any idea?
I'm sorry. The question again was how much money ends up in scholarships?
Yeah, I'm just curious because it's when you dice and slice it in terms of the money involved, it's huge. So I'm just curious how much actually does trickle down to those schools in the form of scholarships.
It's a significant amount. I don't know the exact numbers, but the NCAA CBS Turner Sports deal, quite frankly, most of that money that is generated from ad and sponsorship revenue ends up in the hands of the NCAA, and then they have a revenue distribution formula that follows their constitution and bylaws in terms of how they apportion that. Some of it's related to appearances in the NCAA, so that the better you do, the more you get, and then some of it is just by virtue of being an NCAA member, you get an allocation.
Ben, you mentioned, so much of this is ad dollars. Talk to me about ratings. I believe last year they did really, really well.
They did, and it's, the ratings last year, I think over 20 million people. First of all, in 2012, the rating was the highest they've been, I think, since 2004, 2005. Men's championship game, I want to say in the vicinity of 20 or 21 million viewers. In addition to that, our company produces about 150 different games on the radio over a 2,200 station radio network, and we have really great listenership. It's really one of the top, along with the college football playoffs and bowl system. This is the pinnacle of success in terms of college sports programming, viewership, and listenership.
Right, and you do talk about the positive effect that it has on schools specifically, whether it's George Mason or Butler. There are significant things that we see play out as a result of this.
There are, there's some prime examples. Or you mentioned George Mason. The year that they went to the Final Four, they saw something on the order of 145, 150% increase in their licensing revenue in that year. I think that was 2006. And Butler, went to back-to-back Final Fours. Their sales were up of licensed merchandise, but probably even more importantly, you see applications at these schools spike, really to extraordinary heights, because a lot of times these are schools that folks in the public consciousness are just not aware of. And then they see them play, and they see the personalities of the players, and they say, gosh, that might be a pretty cool place to go to school. They do a little research, and applications spike.
Yeah, it certainly plays out. Hey, just got a couple of minutes left here, Ben. In terms of this season, the 2013 March Madness season, what do we need to be kind of watching out for? Anything in particular that you're kind of watching out for?
Well, I would say, really more than probably any championship in the last 10 years, I think it's very conceivable that you could have, more than one mid-major in the Final Four. The parity that exists in college basketball is just really incredible. There's a reason they call it March Madness. I think there are any of about 10 or 12 different teams that could win the national championship this year. Most years, you can really kind of hone in on 2 or 3 teams and say, well, they're really elite programs this year, and they ought to be in the Final Four. And 9 times out of 10, you'll be right. But I think this is a year where you'll have really, some real surprises along the way. Great Cinderella story last weekend. Liberty in the first basketball tournament of the weekend. They have 20 losses in the regular season. They come into their tournament. They win 4 straight games, and they win the first. They win the first spot in the NCAA tournament this year.
All right, good to know. Hey, Ben, thanks so much for taking some time out for us this morning. Ben Sutton, he's the president of IMG College, talking to us about March Madness.
Listen to Bloomberg on the Economy weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Bloomberg 1130 in New York or on Sirius and XM Satellite Radio Channel 113. Copyright 2013 Bloomberg LP.